hear that The Onion purchased InfoWars?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That shit is fucking hilarious.
I cannot wait for like InfoWars content to not change in the slightest.
Dude, what
But
if
it's
they...
all just now satire.
It's kind of
Dude, they're gonna
funny.
get an Alex Jones lookalike, and it's gonna be good. If they do that, I will watch.
It's kind of funny that InfoWars was called InfoWars because the people over there don't believe this, but they were at war with information. I mean, they really were. Apparently,
point.
the villain character arc story of Alex Jones is like way back, like during 9/11. He actually exposed a bunch of stuff that really was going on that was crazy. And then he just, I don't know, he was just trying to chase that dragon the rest of his life. So he started saying, they're putting the chemicals in the water. Turn the freaking frogs gay.
Burn the freaking frogs gay.
I feel like, and it's really interesting too, listening to how other people and like right wing media like talk about Alex Jones because they want to acknowledge that he's crazy, but they also want to acknowledge he's right about some things and that they like him and they want to support him. And it's like such a fine line to trend. We're like, yeah, I mean, sometimes he goes a little too far and then like
Yeah.
he buys his own conspiracies too much, but like broadly he's right about everything and we agree with him. It's like they're trying to have their cake and eat it too.
I was very naive. I didn't start paying attention to politics until like I got out of college for the most part. But I was really naive because I just was utterly disgusted with Donald Trump about like trusting government and like media and stuff like that. Cause like he didn't. So I was like, okay, opposite of him, right? Which is a very stupid way to live your life. But I was doing it. But then I started, it wasn't Alex Jones that helped me realize that, but it was listening to people like, maybe I should have remembered what their names were before I started talking. Jimmy Dore was a big one, and Glenn Greenwald, he's another pretty good one. So
I don't know if good is an opportune word that I would use, but to each their own, I suppose. Like I've listened to Greenwald debate before, and I don't know. He seems kind of like more focused on rhetoric than trying to be accurate or empirically based on any of his positions. But I don't know. That's just my perspective.
I don't watch his show, but I've seen him appear on other shows, and it could be that they only bring him on when they know that he's got a good point. You know, shooter's gonna shoot, and you're gonna miss a lot, and so he's just
one of the big trends that I've been seeing, like especially seems like it's picked up just in the last few weeks, but it's been like a long-term trend, is like just the general dislike of experts and just the concept of experts themselves. Like people are like, oh, we're tired of all of these unelected bureaucrats like running everything and we want to pick the experts in charge of stuff. And I'm like what makes you qualified to like elect an expert for these fields? Like this is some like, just the war against the entire concept of people having expertise that the general public doesn't have. And like it seems like there's been a huge backlash against just this very concept in general lately.
yeah.
And it's spread to all different types of science. I mean, I've seen it all over TikTok with especially like the food industry. People will go up and be like, "Look at this ingredient it has. This is a floor cleaner." It's like, no, it can be used for that, but that's not like its only
clean your
purpose.
floor with fucking water.
Yeah.
It's like just because a word's too big for you to pronounce it doesn't make it dangerous. And that sentiment has spread a lot in I guess the anti-science groups.
It's
Like,
food,
you'll
food,
post,
pharma,
like,
education, politics, and science. They're all being critically undermined. And what's really funny is the people that say they're in the interest of fixing it, the drain the swamp people, elect a guy that puts in the biggest swamp creatures you've ever seen into these
literally
positions.
he's putting
So
the world's richest man in who like has many government contracts in charge of strip mining the government basically.
yeah, he's a.
Oh
Yeah.
god.
Anyways,
But I've like noticed that like in debates that I've been having like relatively recently, it's no longer like if you post if you like provide a source for like a peer-reviewed, empirically measured experiment, and the data is in the paper. They look at it and say, yeah, but academia is just propaganda anyway. None of these experts actually have any expertise. Like, there's no such thing as intellectualism. They're all just buying into like Marxist propaganda in the colleges, and they're all wrong, and they don't know anything. And it's the real people in the streets, the blue collar workers. They're the ones that actually understand biology nowadays. Like, that's
but
the
you have
actual
to
sentiment.
you have to keep in mind though, science is all fake and it doesn't work and it's all paid off propaganda until they find something that they think supports them. Then they're like, go check out this paper by this guy.
Yeah.
Go look at it. Go look at this paper
Exactly.
posted in this science journal that I was just shitting on 5 minutes ago.
And if it's anything that Nikola Tesla did, like that's the one scientist that was never wrong about anything.
My God. And
Yeah, and then he fucked a
They-
pigeon.
they attribute so many things to Tesla that he never even said or did. They just come up with their own story and they're like, yeah, he did that. Yeah, fucking Tesla, he created the nuclear bomb, actually, if you think about
Okay,
it.
wait a minute. Okay, what's your source for saying that Tesla did not invent the internet? Okay, because I saw it on Facebook, and this dumb science bitch was trying to show me like a peer-reviewed study from a Marxist college that said no, the internet was actually invented by like the government.
Al Gore. All right, pop quiz time. So my wife and I, we used to do trivia all the time at this pizza place, and we'd win about, I'd say like more than a third of the time, a little bit less than half the time we would win. And it was because it was only ever the two of us, and like all these other teams, they'd have like 10 people on them, and it was so satisfying to beat them. But we haven't done trivia in forever. But we went on Thursday and we won. The very last question was, what year was the internet invented? Now don't say anything. Write it down. You have 30 seconds to come up with an answer, and then you're going to put it on the screen, and whoever is closest gets 10 imaginary points starting now.
I have
What
nothing
year?
to write with or on.
What year was it? You don't have a pen or a pencil or a
No.
piece of
I
paper?
mean, not like immediately in front of me.
Why would I have that? What do you think I am? Some kind of beta who needs to write stuff down to remember it?
See, you guys complained when I said that the description for this podcast was we have no idea what we're doing, and then you do shit like this.
You know, I was supposed to bring
Hey,
pen and
Peterson.
paper to a podcast.
And not only that, Peterson, you've been on live with me plenty of times. I use MS Paint.
Weren't you guys in the Scouts? Always be prepared. Scouts honor, right?
Yeah, this
Come on,
is definitely what they did.
This is the Boy Scout thing, right?
Yep, definitely. This definitely doesn't mean anything else.
Yeah, the Boy Scout thing. So anyways,
Yeah.
I guess we can just say answers because it doesn't
No,
really
no,
matter.
I got something to write with. Okay, we're
I'm
doing
I'm
this shit.
still underperforming. I can do it with my hands.
No, you. How are you gonna have a year with your hands? Oh, like just like 1, 2. Okay.
So also the time ran out so long ago. So incredibly
I just got something
long
to write
ago.
with.
all right. Well, since you went through the effort, you write down your answer and show it, and I'll just say what I think what I think it is.
God damn it.
I mean,
okay.
he doesn't
I
know
don't even
if
know
you're
this-
right, so he can't like
Can you
steal your
even
answer.
see this?
1989. All right, that's your
I-
guess.
I was gonna say the exact same year.
You fucking Swifty betas. Holy fucking shit. No,
Are we both wrong?
1991, the year I was born. So there you
Yeah.
go.
How the hell would I know that? Things didn't exist before me. Shut the fuck up. Dude, I was.
Okay, well, here's another pop question, okay? I'm a 95 baby. What was something that was discovered for the first time in 1995?
Dark energy.
That's
I'm a-
1997.
Fucking A.
Or,
Pokemon.
yeah, 1997. 1995 was the first exoplanet.
Ah.
I
Which,
c- if I was around before then, I would have found that before that.
Dude, you know, Kent Hovind in a debate that I had, literally, like when I asked him, like Kent says that the Bible explains the Big Bang and talks about how the universe is expanding, and I'm like, well, Kent, how come 2,000 years of biblical scholars, none of them used the Bible to predict that the universe should be expanding? And he said, well, if I was alive, I would have predicted it. Like, unironically.
Yeah, I believe him. I think he's actually a super genius in disguise. If you look under the mask, he doesn't actually have like a skull. Okay, it's actually just all brain filling the whole
Wow.
thing.
You guys,
So he's a super genius that's just disguising himself as like an imbecilic cult leader.
Exactly. That's what's happening.
you guys know that guy who's supposed to be the smartest man in the world, but he's just
Yes.
a bouncer. He had this interview with Michael Knowles,
I
and
watched it.
I watched about 10 seconds of it, and then Michael Knowles was like, "So does God exist?" And he goes, "Yes." And I was like, "Oh, so this isn't the smartest man in the world." Okay, moving on.
No, it gets worse. There's the interview that I watched because he's for some reason because he's a Trump supporter. Now he's been making the rounds on all of the podcasts about like, hey, like this guy has a high IQ and he likes Trump. See, we're not stupid. And like I watched an interview with him and what's that theory of everything guy that he like just recently interviewed like physicist Leonard Susskind, and he interviews physicists. So he's talking to this guy about this guy's theory of everything. So he's trying to explain like his theory of everything that he has, and it is the most like the words that he's using, it's like literal word salad. Maybe I'm just too dumb. Maybe I don't have an IQ of 200 and I can't understand him, but the things he's saying are like nonsensical. Like he thinks that that's the right channel with Leonard Susskind there.
Which one?
It was just on there. Scroll down a bit. Keep going. You almost had it. There, that guy right there. Man with 200 IQ on the human singularity. That's the one I watched. And that shit was like,
I've never heard
he
of.
started by spitting, talking about how if we do like the normal singularity that all the tech bros are talking about, it would be very bad. And then he starts talking about the kind of singularity that we do need, where the humans unite into becoming God or something like that. A human singularity. It's
What?
just so dumb.
It's just words that don't mean anything. Yeah, I thought about going through some of that, but Professor Dave like literally 3 hours ago uploaded a video where he goes through the whole Michael Knowles interview, and I didn't watch very much of it, but I scrolled through some of it, and it's pretty bad. It's pretty funny. Dave's really good.
Yeah, the omega point. It's like 12 minutes.
Dude, it's kind of scary that people who just know big words, even if they don't use them right, can convince a good portion of the population to just believe them just because
how
they
long
know
is
words.
the video of him explaining hell and God there on the screen? How long is that?
Wait. Oh, man with 200 IQ. 21
He's got a
minutes and
very
51
good
seconds.
21 minutes. Oh my god.
That's way too long.
He literally explains a theory of everything in 12 minutes, and it takes this man 21 minutes to explain hell.
Because his concept of hell isn't going to be hell. It's going to be some sort of concept. And that concept is going to be rooted in something that vaguely you can say scientifically is like there's this part where Professor Dave he's talking about, I think his concept of hell has to do something with like the singularity or whatever. And when Michael Knowles asks him about it, he just goes, "It's inescapable." And then they move on like, "Whoa, that was deep." Like, no, you didn't say anything.
Yeah, like he is very articulate. I'll give him that. But then, like, the things that he starts articulating are literally just random combinations of words that, like, maybe to some degree make sense to this guy, but I don't know. I can't make heads or tails of it. The people, like, there are YouTube channels that are literally dedicated to this guy's theory of everything and trying to explain what he's on about to a lay audience. I even watched one of those. And his fan base is like, it's just cult members. They're just repeating the same thing without actually understanding what the fuck this guy's on about.
Do you think you could like compare him to Witsit with like Flat Earth, where he's just kind of throwing out big words, but they don't really mean anything in the context he's trying to use them, shit like that?
I don't know. Here, let's watch a little bit of it.
I've never watched this guy, I don't think.
He has a 200 IQ, so he's gonna be a little, above
Concept of
Witsit,
hell?
but
What is it? So some religions say that hell doesn't exist. Some interpretations of Christianity is that hell doesn't exist. Some interpretations is that it does exist, or there's a purgatory, place of purgatory, and then there's that hell is a place where you'll be tortured for a finite amount of time, and then you'll be brought back, and then there's some where it's an infinite amount of time. What is your idea of hell derived from the CTMU?
Hell is simply the process of ceasing to exist, of being intellectually unbound and having your identity destroyed, because it is unacceptable to God. See, God...
I was like, okay, that's just nobody's definition of hell is that, and then at the end,
That doesn't sound bad at all.
because God.
He's just saying like hell is just not existing because God doesn't like you, so he just annihilates you. Like that's fine. Like I didn't exist for literally billions of years before my birth, and I was not inconvenienced by it in the slightest.
I was a little upset before I was born, but that's me.
Yeah.
It's a little different, I
In the
guess.
CTMU, there's something called the stratified identity. And God can be defined as the highest level of the stratified identity, the level that we all share with each other. We're all united in God. But God is good, and he must exclude evil in order to preserve the integrity of his identity. This is what he does.
You know
So
what
if you
this
deny
reminds me of?
God,
What?
It's like if you had gone back to the Bronze Age and found the person in the Bronze Age that had the highest IQ, and you're like, you must have all the answers. And this person in the Bronze Age starts telling you about how you have to sacrifice to Baal or something, and like, I mean, having a high IQ doesn't really mean jack if you don't actually have the knowledge base that matches reality.
Or maybe it was literally just this guy. If you go back in time and you're like, hey, can you answer some questions about God? It's literally just this guy with the exact same answers.
Well, I want to hear more.
and you're cutting your line of communication with God because you hate him so badly, then God can no longer see you, no longer wants to see you, and can no longer accept you into himself because he's totally consistent. God is totally, completely self-consistent and will not tolerate his denial. It's just not something that God can afford to tolerate because something that is perfect cannot absorb or assimilate imperfection into himself. He can tolerate it for a while, but then after a while, he's got to exclude it. All right, so this is what hell is. Basically, your own highest level of identity is telling you you can no longer exist because you're no longer in touch with me. You've cut your own identity in half. You've severed it. It's called the soul, the human soul. That's what these levels of stratified identity are. They're your soul, and once you interdict that, once you sever it, okay, you're cut off from God. That way, your own highest level of identity cannot communicate with you anymore. It can't see you. So when you die and you beg on the deathbed, please take me back in, God can't hear you anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I doubt it. So,
He's just making up his own religion at this point, right? Like,
yeah,
Pretty much.
I have no idea.
I mean, like, where is he getting any of these concepts from? Is this just like, oh, my
He chose to
200
define
IQ
God
brain,
that
I just
way.
figured it out.
Yeah, I mean, it's what it is according to his definitions of what these things mean, which is
But like,
why.
I mean, do you think that he's talking from some sort of personal experience of like he's just like gotten himself into some sort of altered conscious state of some kind? He's like, it's my stratified identity that's God. I am God. And then he just like read some Carl Jung and then like slapped it all together. Like,
I don't know. People who are able to speak without saying I'm a little bit jelly of that because I'm not that guy, but that all of that's just nonsense.
like I
would
said, he's
prefer
very
a couple
articulate
ums.
that he's articulating nonsense.
I prefer a couple ums over just making up shit as you go on the fly.
Same.
I don't even remember his theory of everything is the CTMU, but I don't even remember what that stands for. He's got like some kind of like concept of like teleological threads that are like the basic pixels of reality or something like that. It's super
He
weird.
says reality is both cognitive and linguistic, all put together.
Whatever that means.
Yeah, let's see if I can. The cognitive theoretical model of the universe.
Oh, yeah, I want to see what Google's AI says about it.
The CTMU stands for Cognitive Theoretic Model of the Universe, a theory developed by Christopher Langan, which proposes that reality is essentially a self-modeling language, meaning the universe exists and evolves by talking to itself about itself, acting as its own theory, universe, and model, essentially a theory of everything that attempts to connect mind and reality through a unified framework. Except if you would talk to a physicist, they'd say, no, a theory of everything would be you uniting strong, weak electromagnetic and gravitational forces all into one. Not this thing about the universe having a Descartesian revelation of, oh, I think, therefore I am.
Dude, like, I just really feel like this just is like a reflection of this dude's own like inner cognitive state. Like when he says that reality is essentially just like talking to itself about itself, like I really feel like that's just what this guy's doing all day long. Like he's just in his head
Probably.
constantly
Uh,
thinking about himself, talking to himself in his head, and like he's just like that must be what all of reality is.
He's a
I don't know
bouncer
that.
at a bar. He doesn't have anything else to do. I wouldn't think.
It- This seems like something that you would hear from some dude who's on like a 3-day bender, fucking just bonked off his mind at Burning Man. It sounds like something he would say. He's like, the universe is connected, man, and basically we're part of the universe, telling the universe that it is the universe, man.
Maybe you have to have a bare minimum of like a 175 IQ, and then all of this just magically makes sense.
Maybe.
I've had a lot of conversations with people like this. This one specifically reminds me of the guy that was trying to tell us that cells are one-dimensional objects because they can only do one thing, and that's what one-dimensional means. Here, I'll go find it, and we'll listen to like 2 minutes of it, and you'll be
Oh, that's gonna hurt
you'll
my
be
brain.
entertained. Yeah. Oh man, I don't know what the title of the video was. Stupidest guest of all time or something like that.
You had a lot of stupidest guests of all time. I feel like that's like a title that's just continuously evolving. Like every other like week, you find a guy that's somehow dumber than the last guy.
I only
you
have
just
4
post a
videos that
video
have
new-
stupid in the
And
word.
didn't you just post the new stupidest?
Yeah,
person?
dumbest guests. Or no, yeah, that guy actually was the stupidest person
stupidest
I
guest
ever,
ever,
I
there it
ever
is.
talked to. Damn it. I can remember exactly what the thumbnail is, but I can't remember what the name of the video is. But it won't take me long to find. So you guys talk about whatever you want.
I'm trying to like think about who the like dumbest person I've like argued with even is, because I've heard.
Have you ever talked to
Oh,
Iron Horse?
Yes,
He's
that
he's
is-
my number 3. He's too
You have a
he's too
list.
crazy to be stupid, but like
I mean, have you ever talked to Howard? If you want to talk more crazy than
George
stupid.
Howard Stirrup? No, I've seen him, but I've never talked to him myself.
Yeah, do you know who we're talking about, Globe Man?
I don't think so.
No,
This guy
he does.
thinks
It's
that-
the guy that
he
thinks
thinks-
that all
I know Iron Horse.
Stirrup
He
is.
thinks that rocks are used to be organs, like
Yeah.
hearts.
Yeah, we watched this before. He thinks mountains are petrified, gigantic creatures, and he was showing.
So
He did that video where he walked through a cave. And he's like, "This is the ear canal. We can clearly tell."
Yeah, he's like in a giant
Yes.
elephant.
I do remember now, but the person on TikTok that I know that did that was this guy named Center or like Hollow Earth Center Star, some shit like that. And he was basically
Hollow
saying the
Earth
same
Center
thing.
Star? Is that like the
Yeah.
sequel to Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon?
That's a good one. No, whoa. Is this Dare to Know?
No, that's me.
Bronies.
God
I
damn
know.
you.
I'm kidding. It's because of the hoodie.
Yeah. All right, YouTube, you're in for a treat here. Although this is like on my YouTube, but this is earlier this year, 8 months ago. All right.
Bro,
What
so
title?
you're basically saying every cell in your body is you, and it's all thinking the way
That
you
has nothing to do with what it means to be one-dimensional. That has nothing to do with conscious experiences being non-physical. That has nothing to do with anything.
Bro, what I'm saying is
Bro.
your cells,
I said it at the exact same time I said it. That's funny.
you're not thinking about it, bro. Your cells
We are.
all have
You're
their own.
thinking too much about it.
No, I'm not. This is simple. Every cell has its own individual life force. It's all they die, replenish every day. Like they're all individually alive and they're not you consciously. You're not conscious of what they're doing. They're doing their own thing. A skin cell can't do what a heart cell does. It does
I
what a
agree with that.
Yes, and a heart cell cannot do what a worm cell can do. A worm cell
Yep,
is
I
trying to
agree.
get to an egg cell. So what I'm saying is, yes, cells have multiple jobs, but there are different cells for different things.
Yeah,
and
I
they're
know
all,
that.
And they're all doing the one thing that they're supposed to do.
He's not telling you what this means.
Yep. What does this have to do
He
with
really thinks
consciousness
that
being?
each cell type literally only has one thing that it does.
I mean, they are specialized, but yeah, I think
Every single cell is simultaneously carrying out thousands of functions at any given time.
Yeah.
It can specialize for different roles, but each one of those roles is going to entail thousands of different functions.
no, you're wrong. And here, let's listen to him explain.
Non-physical.
I'm not saying okay, that is leading up to like higher dimensions. I'm starting it at the bottom, and what I'm saying is,
But you're not starting at the bottom.
But you're
You're
not.
wrong.
None of this is one-dimensional.
Okay.
You just said that. Oh, about extra.
I'm saying
I don't want to hear me. I want to hear him.
is dimensions exist inside of dimensions. That's what I'm really getting at. You see what I'm saying?
No,
Maybe think of it.
no,
Jump.
nothing you said was
All right.
a justification of that.
All right, maybe
How do you
think
not
of it
see what
as
he's saying?
I'm gonna go backwards because I kind of got into it when I was responding to what he said. So let's see if we can hear him say anything.
Something that
let's
they
check
figured
this
something out.
I could, bro, if you let me explain it, I could actually explain it in a way that would make sense. So, just like we were talking about, the cells that make it to the egg cell, they have one job. They go in a straight line. They're doing one thing. The cells that keep your heart pumping, they got one job. They're doing one thing. They're keeping the heart pumping. The blood.
They're doing so many more things.
Two things.
than that.
Cells will metabolize, they'll reproduce, they will consume.
Damn it! What's that?
Speculating the life of dimensions. That's the operation of dimensions. The speculation of dimensions is based off of numerology the same way you're saying it, but it's basically saying, oh, if I give you the first,
Numerology.
I know it's the same thing though. This is another language. Like math is another language, and this is how we understand dimensions. So if you're giving me something and you're telling me, oh, we're talking about one-dimensional beings, as in we're speculating the life of one-dimensional beings, you're using the archetype of what one means. One is one, which is it's talking about it's something that got one move. It's got one thing it's doing. It's moving in a straight line. You see what I'm saying?
Means to be.
Yep. So that's what that's how we unify dimensions in space with biology. It's a theory of everything.
I didn't hear a word he said. I was looking at you in the fucking corner.
Yeah, that's
I
also true.
just genuinely am curious, like where this man developed these ideas.
He
like,
he
is this just
says
homegrown?
he says in the debate, he's like, bro, you guys just need to sit around and think about this stuff some more. And I think that's actually where I said you need to stop thinking about these things.
We might have to make it illegal for this man to think.
Yeah. I'm in favor of thought crimes. Man, there's this dude on TikTok I used to follow. I know his name was Jesus de something. And he had this idea about how there are these cycles, and it has to do with ice ages and the constellations. And he says the Earth is going to like reset every 6,000 years or something like that. I cannot remember what the hell his name was, but man, if I'll see if I can find that guy. You guys talk about the Mike Tyson fight for a little bit.
Did we all watch it?
Yeah,
Did we
First-
all regret having watched it?
basically.
And I think the most important thing to address, what the hell is wrong with Netflix? I understand I understand that they probably had a massive influx of people, but this is Netflix we're talking about, a streaming giant. You mean to tell me that they didn't anticipate this?
Yeah, it was only like the most bet on, like most watched sporting event, like boxing event, like ever. So they knew that it was going to be that going in. So it was unwatchable at my house. So my friends and I went to like a bar, and it was playing perfectly at the bar. And the bar was also doing bingo, and the fight like was so boring that we all started playing bingo and like got way more into bingo than a literal Mike Tyson fight, which is just incomprehensible.
Yeah, the fight went exactly the way I've been telling everybody it was gonna go. since the fight was first announced, what, back in like February when it was supposed to happen in June. I've been telling everyone he's a 58-year-old man. Yes, he was a beast killer before. He was great, but he's not. He's 30 years out of his prime. Jake Paul is just entering his athletic prime. He's 27 years old, probably roided to the gills. I can't imagine he's not.
The hope was that Jake Paul is such a fraud that he could get beat by Mike Tyson. But I thought Mike Tyson had more in the tank than it turned out he did. But I would trade like 5 years off of my life to have been able to have been a reporter after the fight, to go up to Jake Paul and say something to the effect of, Jake, you've beaten retired NBA players. You've beaten retired MMA fighters. What does it say about your career and the future of your career now that you've been able to prove that you can beat boxers who have been retired for 25 years? Where do you go from here? Because that would have just been so...
He probably would answer like, "I'm gonna fight Buzz Aldrin."
Yeah, I actually don't know if you guys heard. He's already announced his next fight. He's done pulling fighters out of retirement because in his next bout against Muhammad Ali, he's pulling him out the grave.
Pulling him out the grave. Hell yeah.
I would love to see, like, I don't know, like Conor McGregor or like somebody put the walloping on him. Like, at this point, somebody needs to do
did.
it. Like, I was
something
just,
Fury beat him.
I was just shouting at the screen last night, just like, bite his ear off, Mike. Like, come on. Like, it's just your one opportunity. You could permanently de-ear this man and pay, like, what, a nominal fee? You're making $40 million off the game anyway. Like, you can afford to bite his ear off.
Yeah. Well, there is a fighter that Jake wanted to fight next. His name is Alex Pereira. He's a UFC fighter right now, light heavyweight. And don't get me wrong, all right? Pereira, he's a killer in MMA, but he's not a super technical boxer. He fights with his hands low and everything. But the thing is, I don't know what it is about Pereira, but if he touches you, if he hits you, you just go to sleep. It just happens. So I don't think Jake Paul wants that, because Jake Paul's probably thinking, oh, I could hit this guy all day. Pereira's thinking, if I connect one time, it's game over. I win. So I don't know.
That's what we all want to see.
All right.
I think that would be great. I feel bad for Tyson, though. I don't think that fight should have ever happened. And from the second he walked out, that's what I thought. I was wondering why we're even doing this.
Back of like the election and then this fight. Last night I was just like, dude, America is doomed. Like my
disappointing results all around.
Jake Paul is beating Mike Tyson. Like Trump is president. Like we're just fucked.
I'm just glad Tyson didn't get knocked out, because in that fourth round, Jake Paul was landing damn near every single shot. Yeah. And Tyson was just tanking it. So
he was not.
I'm glad for that.
Too. Like he was like wobbling and like unsteady.
So I'm glad that we didn't see Mike Tyson go out like that. You know, a decision I'm fine with. It's upsetting that he did take the fight at all, but whatever. You know, he could have gone out a whole lot worse.
All right. Well, I found the expert. So let's see.
Oh, the expert.
Yeah.
So today we're going to talk about climate change.
I cannot hear.
Yeah, TikTok is really quiet sometimes. That is as loud as I can make it over here.
Wow.
I'm gonna make it a little bit. I'm gonna make it a little bit louder on OBS, but I can't do anything more for you over there on Discord.
Okay, so today we're going to talk about climate change, if it's real or fake. Well, guess what? It's real. Okay. We live in the 62 red sun apocalyptic cycle. We got 20 more cycles of the red sun, 22 more. But remember, the ice age doesn't count because the red sun doesn't have power. All right, that's in the age of Capricorn Aquarius. We got 8,000 years until the next ice age. Our galaxy collision happens every 84,000 years. Galaxy collision every 84,000 years. We got 22,000 years to go. But let's return to climate change. Now, climate change happens slowly through time. It doesn't happen overnight. We adapt to the Earth's new environment. For example, the Ice Age, 2,200 something years. So let's say,
man, he does that for 10 minutes. So are you understanding though?
No.
He does.
My
For one,
He
I
he
can't
has
hear
third
so
eye is open.
everything about what he art is this whole thing about like cycles and going through here. This looks good.
All right, debate again. My last one of the day. 1 Enoch, 1 through 108. Revelation of Elijah.
Oh no, I tried to zoom in on that and it just went away.
All right.
Like, is he making all
debate
these
again.
graphics
My
himself?
last one of the day.
I don't know.
1 Enoch,
Unlikely.
1 through 108.
Because then
Revelation
he's getting
of
this from
Elijah.
somewhere.
You must understand first who Enoch is. Enoch is not a real person that lived in the planet Earth that was taken by God. Alright? So let's explain that to you first because you're very, very brainwashed. You have to see all the comments he left. He left over 50 comments. This guy here. So let's read this comment.
Apparently that was the end. So yeah, he's a real genius.
Yeah.
I can feel my third eye opening actually as we speak.
Yeah, it's that kind of shit. He just everything. The ice ages, cycles, and the Bible, and I don't know what else. That's just.
I'm interested in like the psychology behind people like this. Like they have to combine such a confidence in their own ability to understand reality better than everyone else, or at least better than all of the like, scientists. So there's got to be some level of like arrogance that goes into that, and it's like, is this motivated by them wanting to feel special and superior? Is this like a sort of like, I don't know, like what do you think is motivating this type of behavior?
I don't know. They think they are onto something or have discovered something, or
So it helps them feel like their life is meaningful, that like they have this big discovery that it's their life goal to like share it with the world and enlighten everyone, and it like gives them like meaning and purpose. So it's kind of like the actual facts of reality just don't have the kind of salience as this overarching like, my life can be so meaningful now that I've discovered the truth kind of a feeling.
well, a lot
I mean,
of them
fun.
think they're like battling against evil. That's the biggest thing. They've convinced themselves that. I don't know what they've convinced themselves of, but they think it's them versus the forces of evil, or that the rapture is coming.
Heard that a couple times. I think, as basic as it might sound, I think some of it might also come down to that's just more fun than the real world. I mean, it's just more entertaining to believe that because otherwise, we're sitting here and it's like, oh, what caused the Big Bang to happen? Well, if you ask a physicist, I don't know. It's like we're working on it. We don't know.
Yeah.
If you go and ask that guy, though, he'll probably give you 15 different answers with the most complex fucking explanation you've ever heard. None of it will be right, but it's going to sound like you put a whole lot of thought into it.
It's going to be entertaining, and it's going to be, salient for the types of people that already seem to have a worldview that aligns more with like a peasant in the Bronze Age than like somebody living in the 21st century.
Dude, these guys would have made a lot of money probably if they were just around, 400 or 500 years ago. They would have probably been the geniuses of their time. Yeah, 500 years maybe too soon. Let's go 1,000. Let's go 1,000.
Some of these people already are making money off of these inane, like stupid ideas of theirs. So,
But most people know better. Back then,
I mean, this might
most
actually
people
be
didn't
the
know
golden
better.
age for this type of guy, right? Because you can, like, previously, if you were traveling from village to village, spreading inane nonsense, you might convince one village idiot per town. But the internet connects the village idiots from every town on Earth together in one place, and then you can
And
build
one
an audience
Facebook
of thousands.
group. I think that's why the internet is simultaneously the best and worst thing that I think that has happened to humanity. It's like on one hand, we have a database full of pretty much everything that humans have ever learned in the palm of our hand at all times. On the other hand, you also have a bunch of shit people just made up. And depending on if you're smart enough to decipher between the two, you could fall for either.
And 97% of people just use the internet to like look at like stupid shit. So
You know what? I did an experiment yesterday. I'm gonna make a dedicated YouTube video for this in the next couple days, probably. I tried to see if the YouTube algorithm would radicalize me, and it actually didn't work, weirdly enough. So I created just three actually, completely brand new Google accounts with like no history or anything behind them. And then I went on YouTube. The first thing I did was I do have this email address that I've never used for anything, and I subscribed to myself with it. So that's the only thing I've ever done with it. So I went to YouTube.
He's artificially inflating his subscriber numbers.
Yes, that's what I
Get him.
Ooh.
He's a fake. He's a
plus
fraud.
plus one. What if I were smart? What I would do is leave it playing my videos on 2x speed all day, every single day. But anyways, I played one of my videos, and then what I would just do is I was gonna let it autoplay, but I was like, I don't have time for that. So I just like literally clicked to the very end and then had it autoplay the next upcoming video. And when I did it for me, it played Veritasium videos, Nile Red videos, and stuff like that. But then eventually it just ended at it managed to find its way to Mr. Beast, and then it could not escape. That was a black hole. And I was like, well, that's interesting. But like it made sense at first. So what I tried to do was, all right, I'm gonna create I created an email address called altrighteric@gmail.com, and I went to YouTube. Here's a really interesting thing. I went to YouTube with an account that had never existed before, and YouTube actually didn't recommend a single video to me. I figured I would pop it up and it would be like, here's Dude Perfect, here's Saturday Night Live, here's America's Got Talent, here's ABC News or whatever. But it did nothing. So that was cool. So
wait, what does the YouTube homepage look like?
It's just completely empty. It's just all like my Google theme background was like black, so it was dark themed, and it was just completely empty. I think it said I have a screenshot of it. All it says is it's just completely empty, and it says try searching to get started. So there's absolutely no recommendation whatsoever. So I put it.
You should have searched to get started and then gone from there.
That's funny. So I watched I typed in Ben Shapiro. I thought about Daily Wire, but I was like, I'll just go straight to Ben Shapiro or whatever. Because the ideal was like, don't go all the way to the right. Just like go there and see if it'll radicalize you. Which, funny enough, I couldn't think of a super radical right wing. Because like Alex Jones and what's his name, Steve Bannon, they're not on YouTube anymore. So, but anyways, I just typed that in.
I think Dan Bongino is actually the largest political stream on Earth and is pretty radically right wing.
I've heard that name, but I don't know anything about that person before. But anyways,
he's like literally the biggest political streamer or like live on Earth.
Bigger than Hassan?
Yeah.
Anyways,
much bigger. Significantly bigger.
Yeah, I did that, and all it did was just go straight to Fox News. I was like, oh, weird. I tried it with Left Wing. I did Brian Tyler Cohen, who I picked him because he's a complete Joe Biden dick sucker. He's just an establishment, everything establishment, absolutely no nuance. Tell lie like Donald Trump's a piece of shit, but he'll just tell really stupid lies.
I mean, there's only
about him.
He's the only YouTuber that I'm aware of that started on YouTube and now is a regular feature on like MSNBC and CNN.
Yeah, he's been really successful because he literally just toes party lines, does talking points. He's a hack there. So I figured that's left, and let's see if it takes me all the way to. And I don't know what would be all the way on the left either, but. All that did.
That would be the tankies.
Yeah. But all that did was take me to Jimmy Kimmel videos, and so I was like, well, apparently, Which that could have been predicted because all YouTube cares about is supporting establishment media. They hate alternative and new media people especially like in the news sphere. So
Yeah, YouTube likes to keep it to softcore politics for their new users. Okay, if you want the hardcore stuff, you got to look for that yourself.
Or just go on Rumble.
yeah,
Yeah, I prefer Truth Social. That's where I get all my information.
Well, it's got truth right there in the name.
Yeah, so I mean, everything on there has to be facts,
How
unless Kamala posts on there. Boo!
I
How
was
could that be
I was
wrong?
watching. I'm actually gonna do a reaction. I think to this video. I found it on Rumble. It was. I'm very excited for this one. Have you guys ever heard of the God gene?
I'm
no, I
sure
don't
I've
think
I
heard
was
so.
somebody
watching
on
this video
Peterson's
Rumble, and
live
apparently
mention
this is
it.
like a real thing that like it's got its own Wikipedia page. A certain gene that is called the God gene by like some types of people, and they think that this gene is responsible for your connection with God. And the video on Rumble was talking about how like big pharma is trying to sever people's connection with God by epigenetically silencing their God gene with pharmaceuticals.
We're invisible on your stream all of a sudden.
You are?
Oh, people can't see or hear us?
They might be able to hear us, but I can't see us anymore. Oh, there we are.
No, I don't know
That
why
was
that
weird.
would be. Maybe I.
Oh no, it went gray for a second. We're good now
Maybe
though.
I clicked on something. I was trying to.
Yeah, I think I've heard people mention something along those lines before, and I don't know, it's dumb. That was basically my only input on it. I don't know enough about it to get real in depth, but just based on what you said there, if that's like a summary, yeah, it's dumb.
Yeah. No, that's the summary.
We know about that one protein that's shaped like a cross. That proves that Jeebus Crispy was our Lord and Savior.
Yep.
You know about that one protein called Sonic Hedgehog?
That proves.
I've got a counter god for you.
That's hilarious. Because Sonic.
But honestly, though, the Sonic Hedgehog gene and protein are some of the most important consequential proteins in the body. They like literally are hugely influential in determining like the development of how your body fits together. And the guy that discovered it was like his fiance had just shown him in a magazine, check out this brand new game called Sonic the Hedgehog. And it was like in the 80s. And he just said, yeah, fuck it. I'll just name the protein Sonic the Hedgehog. And then they figured out it's like massively important and is like has to be included in all the textbooks.
Yeah,
so
they were a
super important.
bit disappointed that they named it that after the fact, I heard.
Yeah. They didn't realize how important it would be.
All right, I have a question that has nothing to do with anything we've talked about at this point. But I've wanted to ask it for a little while. Does the idea of exploring other places?
Yes, I am single, Eric.
Oh, nice. Does the idea of like the fact that if we go places we're gonna leave trash there? We've already done it with the moon. Does that bother either of you?
I guess it really depends on what it is. If they're up there throwing fucking Sprite bottles around, that's probably not great. But like, if like the bags of poop that they left on the moon, it's like, well, I think that was fine. I think it'll be okay.
It doesn't bother me in the least because and I'm very, very against like littering and pollution on Earth. But outside of Earth, like the reason I have an issue with littering and pollution is because it harms the rest of the biosphere. But if you can dump as much shit as you want on an asteroid, I don't care. There's nothing alive on that asteroid.
For an asteroid, I mean,
that?
yeah. But for like a planet or a moon, it seems a little bit more offensive. My take on it is like, I don't like it, but I don't care. And really it's because, if we went to the moon 1,000 times, then we would be blemishing still less than 0.1% of the moon's surface. And that's really, for me, it's like you could spend 10 lifetimes on the moon and never find any trash, even if there was 1 million pounds of trash on the moon. So like that.
But you
That's
could
that's why it doesn't
also-
really bother me, I guess.
You could also get really statistically unlucky and accidentally fall in the shit pile.
Yeah, true. I had a
Yeah, it's like that's your first step on the moon. You're like, this is my
It
first
is
time on the
messed up.
moon. This is wonderful. Wow, what the
Yeah,
fuck?
one
That's
small
one-
step
yeah.
for man, one giant mound of bullshit.
yeah. That's one's I had a college professor. Man, what the hell was his name? Usatalo. That was his name. Dr.
It's the
Usatalo.
coolest name I think I've ever heard in my life.
It
That
is pretty
sounds
cool.
like a name like out of an anime.
I can't believe I remembered that, but yeah. And the other history professor was Professor Diaz. So it's like, okay, well, milk toast after that. There was this other history professor. I never had him, but he would yell in class all the time. He would just like jump up on his desk and go, "Ah!" Like I'd be in a class and like you'd hear that like muffled through the walls, and the professor would be like, "Oh yeah, I can't remember that guy's name." But anyways, Dr. Usatalo, he did this like 2 or 3 times throughout the semester. He said, "If you get this question right, I will give you an A. You never have to come back to this class." And he would ask like the most esoteric question ever. And I don't remember what the hell we were even talking about. I don't actually remember what that class even was either. It started with learning about communism, and then it went like into the early 1900s, and then I don't remember after
But
that.
wait, you somehow managed the name Usatalo, but you don't remember anything about the class or any of the questions that he asked?
In my defense, I was a raving alcoholic. So what do you expect?
But you remembered Usatalo.
I don't know
How could you not?
I really don't know how I remembered that because I haven't uttered his name since 2010, I'm pretty sure. But anyways, I don't remember what we were talking about, but he was talking about people living in like late 18th century Europe. And there was something about like, oh, if the people don't like it, they can just jump out their second story windows. But it's okay. They'll be safe because why? And I said, because they'll land in shit.
Yep.
And because I just thought of that, like that's what people were doing with their shit during that time. And he, that was like correct, but I got the species wrong. And so I didn't get the A, and I had to come back to class the rest of the semester. But I was like, damn it,
Hey,
I
what do
got
you mean
really
you-
close.
The
Really.
species of what? The shit?
Yeah, it was either horse or people. I don't remember.
Wow.
And I
Thanks,
guessed
people.
wrong.
There's actually a very famous historical incidence of this happening and being massively geopolitically and historically important. It's called the Defenestration of Prague. And if for those of you that don't know, defenestration is literally the fanciest word that you can use that means to throw someone out of a window. To defenestrate someone is to throw them out of a window. So the defenestration of Prague was literally a kickoff to a massive war, like one of the preludes to like the 30 Years' War, like one of the bloodiest conflicts in European history. And it starts because they threw some guy out of a window, but he survived because he landed in a pile of shit.
That's probably what he was actually talking about. Because I don't know why else you would say that. So
Yeah.
that's that.
Just random fun facts. He's like, hey, you're never gonna guess what they threw in the streets back then.
People onto shit.
It reminds me of a very stupid joke that I remember hearing back in a year that started with one. There are these 2 guys on a barn, and their ladder falls, and so they're gonna have to jump down. And they look around and are like, where are we gonna land? Well, we can't land over there because that's just the hard ground. And then they notice that the where they keep the cows is right up next to the barn, but there's shit everywhere. So they're like, I mean, it's gonna be a soft landing. So this is our only option. So the first guy jumps, and he says to the other guy, "No, it's good. It only went up. It only went up to my ankles. Go ahead." So the next guy jumps, and he lands in shit, and it goes up to his neck. He's like, "What the fuck? You told me it only went up to your ankles." And that guy says, "Oh, well, I dove head first." So
Gross.
yeah, it's pretty gross. You know,
Well,
how many videos have you seen of people like falling off of a chair or like trying to do something funny and they like slip and they land on their head in a way that their neck bends in just incredible ways, and you're like, these people all have to be dead, but they all end up being fine afterwards. I see like one of those videos every week. The human
I
neck
doubt that
is
they're fine.
the human
I
neck is
doubt
pretty.
that they are.
Well, no, because like, see, you're not on TikTok, so you don't know this. So like, when people post something absurd, there's almost always a comment like, "Oh my God, did you die?" or like something like that. And then what you can do is you can create a response comment that is a video. And so I you always see these people, and they, they're fine afterwards. But
Yeah, but I'm saying like that's gonna catch up to them in a few years, is what I'm
maybe.
talking about. Like,
Yeah,
they're
but
going to have very serious neck problems, like in their 40s or whatever. Like
but it
because
looks
I've
like
been,
instant death when you see it happen.
I mean, I have been in a lot of operating rooms in neck surgeries for people who have broken their necks. I've seen the x-rays, like this used to be my business. And like I've seen the x-rays that happen when people scorpion like that. Like that's what, whenever your legs and your back bend back and then you basically kick yourself in the back of the head. Like that's like scorpioning. And I've seen what that does to somebody's spine. Like you are not walking away from it. That requires a lot of surgery.
Me personally, I'd be okay, but that's just me.
This is one
Damn.
of my
Yeah, you're built different.
This is one of
What
my
the
favorite.
fuck?
This is one of my favorite gifs of all time. Drew Brees getting, and then they're interviewing him afterwards. And he's-
The one of the craziest like neck breaking injuries that I had seen. I don't think this would be a HIPAA violation for me to say. You know those motorized scooters, like that you see in like downtown cities now, like where
Yeah.
you can just rent. The
oh,
scooter
the
and go
rent.
around?
Okay, the electric scooters. Yeah,
Yeah, the electric scooters. that you rent
motorized
look
is
like-
you're talking about the shopping carts at Walmart, but
No, like the ones that you have a phone app and they're
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
Bird or they're like Lime.
those are
or
electric
Vio.
scooters. Motorized scooters are for disabled people. That's just
Yeah, I'm talking about the electric ones that
Yep.
that regular people go. Oh, yeah. So, anyways, the guy worked for one of those companies, and he was test driving their new generation of scooter, and it was like way too powerful, and he accelerated so fast he fell off and broke his neck. Yeah,
That's not
a
good.
way to go.
yeah.
I mean, he's still
I
alive.
would go as far as to say that that's bad. Yes.
I'm pretty sure though he is paralyzed for life to some degree or another.
Man,
Where do we?
that's
go?
not
Yeah,
good.
Where do we go from here?
So I think that they probably had to go back to the drawing board on that scooter. And I'd also say for anybody that rides those scooters, don't do it drunk, because I've also seen lots and lots of surgeries from that.
I live.
I
Like,
know where we go from here. John Jones. No, I'm kidding. You guys probably don't even know what the fuck I'm talking about.
I know Jim Jones.
Nope. That's. I mean, maybe he would also be a good fighter potentially.
I mean, he would probably settle it outside of the ring with like some Kool-Aid in the green room.
Yeah. Guess we'll have to see.
Something like that. I looked up for the second book I wrote. I wanted to research into the claim that can you actually walk up to somebody like that and break their neck? And I couldn't find any data on that, but what I did find was this extremely boring sounding study from the National Institutes of Health. It was something about it was an investigation into the injury rate for chiropractic spinal adjustments in patients who are receiving, it's either Medicare or Medicaid, I don't remember, the thing you can only get if you're a senior citizen.
Medicare.
And it found that the rate of injury from that was actually way lower than like the general rate of quote unquote injury from like going to any doctor. So I was like, okay, well, if people on Medicare aren't getting their necks broken by chiropractors, then I think that's probably good evidence that a regular person couldn't just, break your neck or whatever. But,
I mean, when they do those adjustments, though, it's not like they don't do it the same way like you see in the movies.
Yeah.
But I feel like if you were to like really, I don't know, you might be
They're
able to
not
hurt.
trying to break your neck.
Yeah. Like if you were to really go at it, though, I feel like you could probably hurt their neck, but I don't think you're gonna like take them out that way. You're probably just gonna make them look left real fast and they're like, what the fuck?
Well, what does it even mean to break your neck? I mean, a vertebra is, I mean, they're squat bones. They do have some kind of thin parts to them, but
it's to sever the connection to paralyze you.
yeah, that's which is not really what breaking a neck even means, but there are lots of things that don't mean what they literally say. I'm probably not going to be able to think of one off the top of my head now that I said that, but like, oh, he broke his neck. No, he didn't.
Everything is literal now in my head. I can't think of anything that's not literal.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
This is what happens when we stop listening to the man with 200 IQ explaining hell and God and start going off our own beta thoughts. Okay,
No,
we need
I
to get
think
back
that
to
this is
200
what
IQ.
happens when they take Alex Jones off the air.
Yeah.
Everything
basically.
just becomes too literal.
Yeah, if you're going to the kitchen, wear shoes.
What?
If you guys didn't know, that was my dad.
Oh. I was like, hey, that's at least a 100 IQ thing to say.
You could go into the
advice.
kitchen, wear shoes. Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, it's probably wet on the floor or something. I think that's solid advice.
I'm not
That's
wearing
honestly
shoes right now
smarter
or
than
socks.
anything. That's smarter than anything that I heard Chris Langan say.
Yeah.
Okay, I want you guys to rank these things from worst to best. I'm only going to give you two things.
Wait, do I have to write it down?
No. Which of
I'm ready.
Which of these things is worse? There's only two things. The killing of the firstborn in Egypt,
Did it make a big mess?
bad, right?
Huge.
Bad. Or when you step in like a tiny puddle in your own house that you didn't see while you're wearing a sock. Because I would say it's that.
Oh, hey, I may actually have to go. So it turns out that the fridge, the shelves just shattered in them.
Whoa.
So
That's
I guess
inconvenient.
I guess wearing shoes in the kitchen might be necessary.
Yeah. Well,
like they just shattered spontaneously?
Yeah, apparently my dad was just washing some dishes and then everything just came crashing down in the fridge.
huh. You always wonder,
So-
like, because glass doesn't have tensile strength. You always wonder, like, is that just going to break one day? So,
Yeah, well, I guess we have our answer. Yeah, it will.
all
Yeah,
right.
you didn't
So
need 200 IQ
I'm
for
sorry,
that one.
but I guess I gotta get out of here. I'm gonna go help with that.
No worries.
All right, I'll catch you guys later. Make sure you guys wear your shoes in the kitchen.
Yeah.
All right, see ya.
See ya.
Okay. Peace. I'm gonna go with the boring answer and just say that like the genocide of children is the worst one, but
Oh, yeah? Well, I mean, that's, like, understandable.
yeah. And it's also like, isn't it ironic that in a podcast where 2 out of 3 of us were wearing red shirts, the first one to be eliminated was not the red shirt.
Pretty much. I don't know about ironic, but
Well,
oh
it's
man.
it's the Star Trek. If you're not a Trekkie, maybe you don't know, but in Star Trek, the guy with the red shirt always dies.
Oh, no, I've never watched an episode of Star Trek, a movie of Star Trek, or anything really related to Star Trek in any way.
If you wear a red shirt in Star Trek, you're toast.
Huh. That's kind of funny. What's that? There's a TV show or there's a movie. Oh, no, I don't remember. I think it's actually a TV show. No, it's a movie. Every single frame of the movie or shot in the movie has a Starbucks cup in it. Have you heard of this?
No, I haven't heard of that, but that
I'll look
is
it up.
that is a dedication to selling out. Like you have to try to sell your soul that much.
Fight Club.
Fight Club. I love Fight Club. I haven't even noticed about Starbucks in every shot. I don't think that can possibly
In
be
every
true.
scene there is a Starbucks cup in every single scene. So I was saying like frame, but no.
You know, I was like that angsty, cringy kind of high schooler. So Fight Club was my favorite movie, but maybe I've got like years of subliminal advertising for Starbucks locked deep in my inner psyche now. But like,
could be. You might be
I don't like
a
Starbucks
basic
at all.
bitch. You might be.
I don't even drink coffee, so like it didn't work on me, I guess.
No, neither do I. I like coffee. I view coffee like I view Gatorade. Cool Blue Gatorade is in probably my top 5 best drinks ever.
Wow.
And I like coffee. I like dark coffee. I don't necessarily like putting stuff in my coffee. Oh, you sound like such a badass. No, it's just what I like. But I don't drink it because I feel like I don't just have Gatorade in the house to drink, because I feel like you only drink Gatorade if you need to drink it, and coffee kind of the same way. And I just never feel the need to, I guess. I have a nice coffee maker. It's got like a milk frother too. And when I first bought it, I was making a coffee like, you know, I was taking one to work almost every day, but then I was just like, I don't need this. I don't care for this. So,
Wow. So you quit. I mean, that's just how an addiction forms, right? Is that you initially don't need it, and then as you start using it more and more, then you do need it. You know, so there are plenty of people that absolutely need their coffee.
I'm not going to name names, but I was hanging out with this person one time, and it was like 10 in the morning, and they were smoking a cigarette, drinking a beer, having a coffee, and drinking one of those Kool-Aid jammers, the ones in the like little plastic thing, like all
God.
at the same time. Actually, there was a beer involved in this too, and I was like, what are you doing?
I'm honestly surprised that like the cells that make up their body did not unionize and overthrow their brain's control of the body.
We're forming a union. That's hilarious.
Yeah, like no, we cannot. Like you have been irresponsible. Like the CEO is out. We're forcing him out. We're forming our own board, and we're just gonna run this body without consciousness from now on, because obviously you couldn't handle it.
You had your chance, brain, and you screwed it up.
Exactly. But you mentioned something, and I gotta know. I need all 5 of your top 5 beverages at this point, right? Or liquids or drinks or whatever.
Oh, so this won't be in an actual order.
Okay, so we know Cool Blue Gatorade is on there.
Cool Blue
Did you say
Gatorade is
coffee or
goated.
no?
No, I wouldn't put coffee on there anywhere. Thai milk tea is in the top 5.
Okay.
There's a
Amazing.
really good tea place right next to where I live. That used to be what I always got, but what I've been getting lately is they have a lychee milk tea smoothie. Oh, that's good. I bought lychee once.
I never had lychee or Thai tea or anything until college when I started dating a Thai chick. And then she like, it was like Aladdin, like a whole new world. Like I'm like all this Thai food that I had not known about my whole life. And like, dude, I've got a weakness for Thai tea and like pad Thai, like everything.
No, yeah, same here. Thai food. I never had it before I moved here because I lived in South Dakota. That was the reason. But yeah, like pork ramen, miso. I get that here. Pho. I didn't know pho was a thing until I moved here. There's this place here. They have the best pho, and they also have
You even say it correctly.
Yeah, there was actually this place called Pho King, and but it closed down during the pandemic. I have a friend. He wants to open a pho place, but it's like, there's no dine-in, so you just like get in line and get it. So you queue for your pho, and he was gonna call it "fuck you," which is a good name.
Yes, that's amazing.
All right, we're getting distracted. So,
so we've only got 2 out of the 5 drinks here.
Yeah, I would probably. I kind of want to put Code Red in there.
Whoa, bold. This is very like you got some hot takes here.
Yeah. Oh man, what else in terms of drinks?
I'm just gonna throw this one out there. Maybe I'm being a basic bitch, but you don't think about water being in your top 5?
No, water is rather shallow and pedantic, and I've grown bored
water
of it.
is my number 1, dude.
You know what? Growing up, because I grew up on a farm, and my dad lived on the farm. He still lives on the farm that we lived on ever since I was about a year old. Nice. And my mom lived in town, but like the water was always really bad. And that's probably a big part of it. I like never drank water for the hell of it. I drink a lot of water now. I kind of started having to in my early 20s because I was getting kidney stones really pretty often. But I can only drink water if it's just above its freezing point. There has to be a lot of ice in there.
Dude,
Kind of
what?
weird.
Water is amazing, man. And like, you just brought up my biggest fear.
Code
my
Red is
entire
like mostly
life.
water. So I don't know what you're complaining about.
My biggest fear in my entire life is kidney stones. That's my number one focus.
Dude, I don't know what it so you there's this phenomenon called referred pain, which I didn't know existed until I got kidney stones. Because the very first time I ever got a kidney stone, I just woke up at like 8 in the morning. I would get them after drinking alcohol the night before, which I think that just created a lot of pressure in my because like the anti-diuretic hormone shuts off and you pee a lot when you drink. I think that just kind of forced them out, I guess. But I mean, they had to be big enough to form in the first place. But anyways, the first time it was like 8 in the morning and I woke up, I was like, it felt like somebody was just like grabbing one of my nuts and just going like this. I was like, what the fuck is happening right now? And I've heard of that thing where your nut can get twisted. You can get testicle torsion or whatever. But like it kind of went away and then it started happening again. I was like, what the fuck is going on? And then pretty soon I was just like, it was just excruciating at that point. And I went and woke up my brother. I was like, take me to the hospital. I don't know what the fuck is happening. Dude, for like 2 hours, I was screaming my head off. And they were asking like, what's what? Like, describe the pain. It feels like my fucking right nut is on fire, being crushed with hammers all at the same time. I was like, does that help? And they couldn't figure out what the hell was wrong with me or whatever. And they couldn't give me anything, not even painkiller, because they're like, well, we don't know what it is yet. And I was puking and it was so bad. So that's happened to me like 8 times or so.
Oh my god, dude. Drink some fucking water, man.
I was. So I don't know.
Oh my God.
I don't know.
I've never experienced that, but I am permanently scarred because back in middle school, I was like at a sleepover at my friend's house. And like in the middle of the night at like 2 in the morning, me and him are just woken up by his older brother passing a kidney stone in the bathroom across the hall. And it's just like, we're just like, for like 30 or 40 minutes, we cannot sleep. We're just like, literally, like, I'm in my sleeping bag. I'm just like, what is happening? What is going on? And he's just like, we're just hearing, like, he's just like excruciating pain. And like, I will never forget that. And I'm like, dude, I would rather die than pass a kidney stone.
Yeah, for me, I don't know. It's really weird. And the urologist I talked to was like, yeah, you're making that up. But like, I don't get any back pain when I have them. It's in my balls. And it's just,
wait.
excruciating.
Is it always the same ball or does it alternate?
It depends on which side the kidney stone is.
So it does. It's not always the same nut that's getting the beating.
Yeah, it was usually on the right, but dude, it's just excruciating. It happened to me when I was at work once when I was teaching. It was probably like 10 minutes before the bell was going to ring. And I was like in the copy room making copies. And I just all of a sudden was like, you got to be fucking kidding me. This is not happening right now. And I was like, no. So it's bad. After you, to like break them up, because sometimes they just get stuck. And so you get lithotripsy, it's called, where it just breaks up the kidney. Well, they can get into your bladder, but then the fear is that they're going to be too big to. Well, no, because the ureter's smaller than the urethra. I don't remember. I
break them up with like vibrating.
Yeah, sound waves. Yeah, so that's called lithotripsy. But when they do that, they have to put a stent in you. I don't really know why, but they put a pipe that goes from your bladder up into your kidney. I don't know why, but that is also really painful because what happens is when you pee, your bladder's a muscle and it pushes urine up that pipe into your kidney, but your kidney's not flexible. So that's the only time I ever get back pain, but it feels like somebody's sticking a
This is
a
all
rod in you.
This is all my biggest nightmare. I hope you know. Like, if I ever get any health condition that involves putting anything in my dick hole, just kill me. No catheters.
Oh,
I don't want anything coming in or out of there that's not
yeah.
pee.
When they
Or
take that
other-
thing out, that's a journey. You want me to tell you about that?
No, I really fucking don't, because you're literally like, I'm not having a good time. This is like, I don't want anything in or around my dick hole. I don't even want to think about it. I don't understand sounding at all. These motherfuckers are crazy and should be stopped. Like, I don't want to hear about this. I don't want to know about this. I don't even want to think about it. It's just God.
Okay, we'll think about
I mean,
something
we can
else.
Talk about, like, we can talk about giant nut sacks. I don't care. We can talk about anything.
I went to high school with a guy, and his balls were this big for some reason. That's like an actual condition.
Whoa. Did you know, I heard recently that, like, girls like a bigger nutsack. I've heard that. I don't know if that's true. I'm
I don't
just
know
hearing
why.
the rumors. I don't know, man. I'm just hearing it. Maybe it's more alpha, more manly to have a bigger sack. I don't know. But I wish I could remember what book this was. But I read this book that had the best, this is still to this day, the best dedication that I've ever seen in any book I've ever read. It like started, it's like, this book is dedicated to Theodore Roosevelt's left testicle for not collapsing under the massive weight of its own gravity into a black hole and
Oh, wow.
destroying the earth.
Nice.
Yeah. I was like, that's great. I don't even remember what book that was, but
What
I
did he-
still remember that dedication.
What did he do other than like dedicate some parks? I mean, he wasn't a. He was
He's
president.
the trust buster, man.
Oh, right. Okay.
He was busting those trusts, and he was advocating for single-payer healthcare like 100 years before Bernie Sanders. And he's known as being like the guy that's getting rid of the corruption. Like, he was literally made vice president to stop him from clearing out Tammany Hall in New York and like all the corruption. I mean, you know, other than being like a massive jingoistic war hawk, I mean,
Yeah.
TR is kind of that guy.
Yeah. Okay. I have to go let my cat in. It won't take me long, but while I'm gone, the next thing is, who are the hottest women? The answer is like super easy, but I'm just curious as to what your wrong answer will be.
Okay. Well, I'm going to assume that letting the euphemism, so maybe this is going to take a couple seconds for Eric to get back to us, but in terms of the hottest women, I'm going to take that to mean individuals, and I've got a hot take on this one. It's the actress Estella Warren. I will die on this hill. She's the hottest woman I've ever seen on the big screen. She's only been in like 2 of the worst movies of all time. But I love those movies specifically because she makes them amazing. Those are Kangaroo Jack and Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes. Horrible, atrociously bad movies that I will always be down to watch because Estella Warren is in them, and she is just the hottest woman I've seen.
She's not bad looking.
And she was also I think in a music video for
Canadian.
I don't remember who. She was in a music video. It was a great music video. I wish I could remember what. It was I wish I remembered. But I literally own Kangaroo Jack on DVD specifically because, well, I love Australia, but I love Estella Warren more. She's my number one. So don't at me.
Interesting. So like, I didn't mean like, I meant like which country has the hottest women. That's kind of what I meant. And she's Canadian, so if you're gonna say Canada, then that's
I haven't been to Canada enough to be able to say. I will probably, out of the countries that I have been to, right? I haven't been to every country on Earth. I've only been to like a handful of countries in Europe, South America, Asia, and North America. I'm gonna have to go with Colombia on this one. In terms of what country's got the hottest women, I don't know what country is competing with Colombia. I swear there's got to be something in the water in that country that they're feeding these women because it's just absurd. Like,
you're close, but you're about as close as you can get while still being wrong. So that's really
are you gonna
good.
say Brazil?
No,
Venezuela?
no.
Then I don't know.
Puerto
Because
Rico.
In South America, those are like the big 3, right? For like hot women.
Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico. Okay.
Yeah, that's the answer.
I don't know. I watched the fight last night. Serrano definitely deserved the win, but I mean, half of her face was missing. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I need a better impression of Puerto Rican women then.
Well, I mean, fighters never really look all that good because their hair has to be like wrenched down as tight as it can possibly be. Which is, you have to do that because otherwise it just like gets in the way or whatever. But when I was
Puerto Rico, okay, I
Puerto
gotta
Rico's the
add
answer.
that on my list. I've never been to Puerto Rico.
When I was in college, it was really funny. Because I did track and we did that, 5 days a week. And there were like people on the track team. And there's like the guys and the girls, but like, there's like this one girl on the track team who everybody would be like, oh my God, she's so hot, whatever. And I didn't have class with it. I was the only bio major like on the track team. It was very odd, like the whole time I was there basically. But when I would see them on campus in like regular clothes, I'm like, you don't look right. Which is so stupid because workout clothes aren't regular clothes. But that just shows that we like what we're used to. And that says a lot about human beings, actually.
I'm adding Puerto Rico onto my bucket list now.
Yeah, add it to your search history so like do your research and be like, yeah, he was right.
Noted. I'm glad that I have something to write this down so I don't forget.
Is that remarkable paper thing you're telling me about?
I'm a podcast professional now.
Is that infinitely rewritable paper thing you're telling me about?
Yeah, it's awesome. Like it like feels like paper, but you just kind of, boop. It's awesome. Boop. It's like super thin.
It's just one. It's not a notebook. It's just one.
Yeah, it's just
thing.
one, and you have multiple notebooks in it. Like I can go to all of my folders and.
Oh, okay. So it's like
download PDFs onto it to take notes. It's awesome. It like changed the way I take notes.
So you don't have to delete everything to write something new. You can save it and then start. Yeah, that's pretty cool technology.
And it makes me feel like, sure, it's like I could have just bought like 40 paper notebooks for the same price, I assume, but like every time I use a paper notebook now, I feel like I'm like in the 1800s. And when I use this, I'm like, yeah, I'm a 21st century man.
Fancy.
Yeah, it does make me feel fancy, and that's why I love it.
Well, I got about 2 minutes. Is there anything important that only takes 2 minutes to talk about?
Yeah, you never finished giving your top 5 beverages.
Oh,
you
shit.
Only gave 3.
Yeah, I did only give 3. I haven't had this in literally years, but Ruby Red Squirt it might be the nostalgia. It might be the nostalgia making me want to put it in my top 5. Whereas if I actually had it, I'm like, it's all right.
Okay, but how can you have Code Red and Ruby Red Squirt? Like, I feel like
they're so different.
You got 2 like red fizzy drinks.
One is pink, but also Ruby Red Squirt. It's spicier. Squirt. You can't drink Squirt fast. Mountain Dew Code Red goes down smooth. It's like a 12-year bourbon, right?
Okay, I'm gonna admit something to you right now. I have never had the beverage Squirt because it never seemed like an appealing beverage to spend money on.
It's good. It's good. It's way better. It's way better than Sprite.
So it's like a superior Sprite?
Oh yeah, I would say so. Yeah, it's way fruitier and it's got way more of a bite. Top 5 favorite drinks. Shit, you haven't given any of yours.
Way harder than I thought.
Yeah.
You initially said so confidently, like, oh yeah, Cool Blue would be in my top 5 beverages. I just assumed that you had those ready to go for us.
No. What else?
You don't have any alcohol in there. You don't have any. You got mostly just soda.
Yeah. If I were to pick okay. There's this local brewery here, and they make this coffee blonde stout. They only make it this time of the year. I think they just came out with it again, and I can drink that stuff day, so not get tired of it.
So You don't fuck with like orange juice or any fucking juice at all. You don't have one
I got-
single juice.
I
in your
got
top
guava
five.
juice in the fridge. I have my own lemon tree. I squeezed my own lemons. But like that doesn't count. Like, what's your favorite beverage? Oh, well, when my grandmother was still alive and she had her grapefruit tree, she used to make her own special like that doesn't count. It's got to be like something that
You could just
other
say
people can
grapefruit
buy.
juice, man. Lemonade. Those are normal beverages. Those are acceptable.
Yeah, I don't know. There's so many lemonades, and like I don't know. Once you've made your own, you're like, oh, these are all kind of Simply Lemonade is probably the best, but I like Tropicana Pink Lemonade is pretty fucking awesome. When I was growing up,
And you
Country
don't fuck
Time
with
Lemonade
orange
was the
juice?
best, but if I drank that now, I'd be like, oh god, what the hell is this? I think.
And you don't fuck with orange juice.
No, I like orange juice. I just wouldn't put it in a.
Top five.
Yeah, it's
just
like
not
water.
Ruby Red Sport.
Yeah, like I objectively accept that orange juice and water are better than literally everything I listed. I mean, Gatorade can be good for you, I
hey,
guess,
orange juice
but
is
I
also
like the
orange
others
juice.
better. What's that?
I mean, the versatility of orange juice, like you can use it in a mimosa, a screwdriver, like you can use it as a base, as a mixer, as
Brass
well
monkey.
as just
Yeah.
by itself. I mean, orange juice might be the MVP beverage, honestly.
I mean, if you say that because orange juice plus other things is good, then I think you're kind of selling out orange juice. I like
orange
Cool
juice
Blue
by itself.
Gatorade for what it is.
I drink orange juice by itself. I don't mix it with things, but
Okay.
I'm just saying, like, the versatility adds to its caliber.
Pulp or no pulp?
I'm a no pulp kind of guy. I'm sorry.
At the fucking store, you can only get high pulp or no pulp. And I'm like, I don't want to chew it, but I want some texture in there, but that's whatever.
Why do you want texture in your beverage?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I like
Like, you don't want texture in your fucking Ruby Red Squirt.
well, I mean no, that's a soda. But like those drinks with like the chunks of aloe and stuff in them and the Thai tea specifically, I get it with boba.
Yeah. Boba tea, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I love I don't know, I love slurping and chewing.
Okay.
If I'm going to slurp something, it might as well be chewy.
I really don't want to have to respond to that, and I hope that you end the podcast before I have to.
Yeah, we are out of time, so I guess you're off the hook.